We're doing the second place project because we see a high volume of buses as well as ambulance that drive down here. With both those vehicles being heavy weight, it creates these potholes as well as the rutting that we see out here. My name is Adrian Trujillo. I'm the Infrastructure Asset Supervisor. I am currently working on the second place overlay project. We're taking off 4 inches of the top surface of the asphalt layer, and then we're going to be coming back and paving the 4 inches back to do a nice overlay. When we do a mill and overlay, it's not just about keeping the road smooth and the ride quality up. It's also about extending the life of the pavement so then we don't have to do an expensive road reconstruction. Something that puts on a project like this is a lot of coordination from the public as well as our staff to talk with both St. Anthony's Hospital, coordinate with the Federal Center that is right behind us, as well as RTD. Super important to have that communication with all of these parties because it allows for us to create a safer work environment for both the workers out here as well as the traveling public. We could also work with our traffic engineering team and create safer, more accessible routes for pedestrians. We updated the crosswalk markings so it's safer and more accessible for people to cross second place to get to the light rail and to the hospital. The reasoning that we're doing this is to ensure that the traffic going to St. Anthony's Hospital, as well as the RTD traffic that this street sees, has a nice smooth surface so then the public can travel safely down the roadway.